Now it's a pleasure to introduce to you John Doherty. He's the Assistant Port Director for the Port of Wilmington. In that capacity, he assists in the terminal's operation, and also he's told me that, in his opinion, the Port of Wilmington is one of the bright economic spots for the city of Wilmington, and we're going to find out now. Hello, John.
How are you?
Fine. How are you? Enjoying the music?
Very much so. Very much so. Very enjoyable.
John, when did the Port of Wilmington open? Who owns it?
Well, construction on the port started in 1921, and the port opened in 1923. It's presently owned, and always has been, by the city of Wilmington, and through their Department of Commerce it presently operates.
Okay, what's the staff of the Port of Wilmington, and how is it organized?
Well, we presently have about 100 full-time employees, administrative, clerical, hourly, warehouse operators. And we also have several companies who have long-term leases relative to maritime commodities through the port. So in total, you're talking about 3,000 people work at the port daily.
You mentioned these tenants. Who are some of the tenants of the port?
Some include Georgia Pacific, Volkswagen of America, Fiat Motors, Del Monte Banana Company, North America Smelting. Gosh, there's 32 in all. I can't really remember all of them, but there's about 23 tenants. We handle a mix of about 32 different types of commodities throughout the year.
Speaking of commodities, what are some of the types of commodities that you handle at the Port of Wilmington?
Well, we're big on automobiles, very big, import and export, with Volkswagen and Fiat coming in, General Motors, Chrysler products going out. We also handle quite a bit of orange juice from Chile, cocoa beans from Costa Rica. We handle even apples from New Zealand, the Granny Smith apples annually, and other refrigerated cargoes, which we have warehouse space at the port.
You know, as I was coming over to the Rollins television station, I heard on the radio about the container port development that's taking place, and I'd heard that you'd entered into an agreement with Costa Rica in connection with their banana industry to be the sole distributor on the East Coast, and that you're the only facility on the East Coast that has this container port facility. Is that correct?
That's true. We were very fortunate. In fact, the first vessel is loading 110 containers. Started at 5 o'clock this evening. We'll work through till about 2 o'clock this morning. And we have a 180-day temporary agreement to handle their product with, if they're satisfied, which I'm sure they will, we'll end up with a long-term agreement, hopefully 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what do you see as the great advantage of being the only facility with container port abilities on the East Coast?
Well, we're not the only container port on the East Coast. Philadelphia, of course, is our rival.
Okay.
But we are entering into the container port era, but Wilmington does have a definite economic advantage. We are the first inbound port in the Delaware Bay and closer to Philadelphia. We have faster turnaround time, which is very important to a shipper today. We have excellent facilities and a lot of land availability. So we're going to be a very competitive port in the future.
Now, we mentioned container port and bandied that term around. Maybe some of the viewers might not know what that is. Perhaps you could explain.
Well, containerization is a mode of unitized movement of cargo. The entire truck body is filled to capacity with a commodity at point of origin and is shipped by the box to the point of destination. It's taken off at our port, put right on the chassis of a truck, and carried right to the consignee.
Now, what are the possibilities of the port becoming involved in coal? I've heard talk about that.
Yes, we have had several proposals for coal, and it does have good possibilities, mainly because of our, once again, our geographic location and our land availability. But there's a lot of ifs and ands that go with it. The land compatibility to put concentrated loads, large loads of coal. It's not good ground to do this. We have a lot of railroad problems, both from the Midwest, as far as making connection, and also our lines would go right through the center of town in Wilmington. So if it can be worked out, there are economic and engineering studies ongoing on this, but we feel that if they can be addressed, we could be a coal facility.
How do you feel that the port affects the economic life of Wilmington? I don't think a lot of people are aware of that.
Well, yes, even myself, and being a native Wilmingtonian, really didn't realize the amount of people who worked at the port. Just for truck traffic alone, I think our figures showed over 185,000 trucks went through the port last year. Of course, our direct employment of individuals, but also the indirect benefits of a port. The gasoline, the truck traffic, the motels, the restaurants, you know, so a port brings a definite economic impact on the surrounding area.
What's in the future for the Port of Wilmington?
Hopefully, several good points. I think now this container era that we are now entering on, we have a very good chance to, we have one customer in hand and we have several other clients that we're speaking to. We have a very enthusiastic administration. The city councilmen have been behind us 100%, and we have been progressing rapidly. But one major problem is our dredging, which we are addressing now, and hopefully with the right master plan, which we are presently trying to adopt, sit down and formulate, the port will be one of the biggest ports on the East Coast.
Well, thank you, John Daugherty, for coming on Focus Delaware.
Thank you.
This has
Thanks for
been
having me.
John Daugherty, who's Assistant Manager of the Port of Wilmington, and he's been telling us about this exciting economic aspect of the scene here in Wilmington, and I wish you continued success in your endeavors.